Hi everyone. In the last class, we studied about transportation in human beings. So this class, let us look into transportation in plants. So the plants need many inorganic substance for their healthy growth. Plant body is also made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. They also need nitrogen and many salts. A plant obtains this substance by absorbing them from the soil. Plant has got root. Through the root, all this nitrogenous substance and some of the salts will be absorbed by the plant. The soil will provide them the nutrients which is required for the plants. At the same time, the food is also prepared in the leaf of a plant. Even that also need to be transported. So in the plant also the transport system is necessary. So here the what has to be transported in the plant, whatever the root has absorbed from the soil need to be transported from the root to the different part of the plant body. And even the food what is prepared in the leaf is a kitchen of a plant, right? So the food which is prepared in the leaf need to be transported to the different parts of the plant body. So for this there is a need of the transport system. But the thing is, in lower organism this transport system will not be present. They will transport the food materials and the oxygen by a simpler process called as diffusion. Whereas in an higher plants, there is a tissue called as vascular tissue which helps them in transporting the food and the water. There are two types of vascular tissue. One is xylem. This is xylem and this one is a phloem. This xylem and phloem together we call them as a vascular tissue which helps in transportation of or transport of food and mineral salt, water, all will be transported with the help of the xylem and phloem. We'll see how the water and the food will be transported with the help of a xylem and the phloem. Here, when you just observe this as a xylem, xylem is one of the complex permanent tissue which helps in transporting water. So here xylem is a water conducting tissue. We can also call it as a water conducting tissue because it helps in transport water and mineral from the root. So whatever the root has absorbed the water and minerals from the soil, it has to reach to the different part of the plant body. So it will reach through the tissue called as xylem. This xylem consists of some of the cells called as tracheids, vessels, xylem fiber, xylem parenchyma. So this tracheids, vessels, xylem fiber, xylem parenchyma helps in transport of water and minerals from the root to the different part of the plant body. Among this cell, only xylem parenchyma is a living cell, the other is non-living cells, which you have already learned in the class 9. Now, whatever the extra water is taken by the plant, whatever the water is taken from the soil, it will make use for the photosynthesis and the other the one of the raw materials required for the preparation of the food is the water. It will make use, whereas the extra water what it has to be thrown out from the plant body. The loss of water in the form of a vapor, we call it as a transpiration. The transpiration is a process where the loss of water takes place in the form of the vapor. See here, the leaf, the surface of the leaf, if you can observe that the water get evaporated from the surface of the leaf. So this process is known as transpiration. Why the transpiration has to occur? It helps in absorption and the upward movement of the water and minerals from the roots to leaf, and it also helps in temperature regulation and reduce the temperature of the plant. So this is a function of the transpiration. So remember which tissue will helps in conducting the water and mineral salt. It is nothing but the xylem. Then you know that the leaf is a kitchen of a plant. In the leaf the food will be prepared. Whatever the food is prepared in the leaf has to be transported to the different parts of the plant body and even to the storage regions such as fruit, leaves and all. So that will be done with the help of a tissue called as phloem. The phloem helps in transporting the food materials from the leaf to the growing part of the plant. What does the phloem consist of? You can just see the phloem consists of phloem parenchyma, companion cell, and phloem fiber and the sieve tube. This will help in transporting the food materials from the leaf to the growing part of the plant body. Among these cells, sieve tube, sieve cell, companion cells, and the phloem parenchyma, they're all living cells. Now, the process of transportation of food from the leaf to the stem and then to the other parts of the plants and to even to the storage region takes place through the phloem. We got to know this process. What do we call it as? We call it as an organic translocation. This is how the xylem in phloem helps in transportation of the food and the mineral salt and even the water from the different part of the plant body to the other part. So this is how the transportation takes place in the plants. Next, let us move on to the excretion. Excretion in the human being. The first thing you have to know, what is excretion? So here, when you just observe, it's one of the biological process of removal of harmful nitrogenous waste from the body is called as excretion. Here, even in the human body also, other than the digestive waste, cell waste are also produced. Okay, some of the metabolic waste are also produced. So those metabolic waste need to be thrown out or eliminated from the body. Otherwise, it will become a toxic. So it has to be thrown out from the body. So this process, biological process of removal of harmful, this nitrogenous waste, it's harmful. Okay, this nitrogenous metabolic waste has to be thrown out from the body. So this process we call it as a excretion. So what are the waste formed in the human beings? The waste formed in the human beings are carbon dioxide. Could you remember in the last class we learned, isn't it? The carbon dioxide is a cell waste. That is during the oxidation of the food, one of the product produced was carbon dioxide, which was the respiratory waste. We call it as, it's a deoxygenated. You might have learned that that carbon dioxide entered to the blood. From the blood it reaches the heart, from the heart to the lungs, and the lungs will take the carbon dioxide and with the help of the nose it will throw out of the body. So, and apart from that, water, salt, and nitrogenous substance such as ammonia, urea, uric acid, all these are all the waste which is produced by the human beings. So these waste are harmful, it is toxic, need to be thrown out from the body. This process of removal of harmful nitrogenous metabolic waste from the body, we call it as a excretion. So now we'll see how this excretion takes place. Remember, some of the waste such as urea, uric acid, some of the nitrogenous metabolic waste, it has to be thrown out. So what happens to this waste? From the cell, it reaches the blood. The blood will carry that waste to the excretory system of human being. So what are the excretory system of human being consists of? The excretory system of the human being consists of a pair of kidney. You can observe here a bean shaped. Can you see? This is the kidney. It's a bean shape, right? So excretory system of the man includes two kidneys. See here, two kidneys are present. And you can just see a pipe-like structure which arises from both the kidney. We call it as ureter. Then both the ureters are connected to a bladder. We call it as a urinary bladder, a sac-like structure called as urinary bladder. And this urinary bladder, you can just observe here at the opening side of the urinary bladder, there is a urethra. So the urinary bladders open outside by the urethra. So you can see here the excretory system of the man includes pair of kidney and the ureter, urinary bladder, and urethra. So here you can just observe the vena cava and the aorta, which helps in supplying the blood to the kidney for the filtration. Here the kidney will filter the metabolic waste from the blood, and it helps in the formation of the urine, and it throws the urine out of our body. So we'll see now how this happens and what is the structure of the kidney. Yes. I just told you a pair of kidneys present, a pair of ureter, a urinary bladder and urethra constitute the human excretory system. The kidneys are present on either side of the backbone of the abdomen, and this kidneys helps in producing the urine, and urine from the kidney it passes through ureter and into the urinary bladder and remaining stores there till it is released through urethra. So you can see here the kidney, it produces the urine, it will filter and produce the urine. The urine from both the kidney, it passes through ureter and reaches the urinary bladder, and through urethra, the opening, you can see the outside opening, through the urethra, the urine will be transported out of the body. So this is how the urine will be formed. We'll see what is the structure of the kidney. Here, this kidney, when you just observe the kidney consists of a nephron. What is this nephron? The nephron are a microscopic structural and functional unit of the kidney. It is one which helps in filtering the blood and removing the nitrogenous metabolic waste from the blood. So this nephron, structure of the nephron, when you just observe, you can see here at the beginning of the nephron. See these nephron, where it will be present? It will be present in the kidney. Remember, the nephrons are present in the kidney. Each kidney consists about 1 million nephron. Okay, and 1 million nephrons are present, and these nephrons are also surrounded by the blood capillaries and the connective tissue. And remember, nephron is a structural and functional unit of the kidney which helps in the formation of the urine. Okay, so this nephron will be present in both the kidneys, and remember, each kidney consists of 1 million nephron. Okay, so now we'll see the structure of the one nephron. Okay, nephron, when you just observe the beginning of the nephron, there is a cup-like structure, correct? So this cup-shaped structure, we call it as a Bowman capsule. So what do we call for this cup-like structure? We call it as a Bowman capsule. Following the capsule, there is a coil which continued as a U-shaped tubes. Can you see the U-shaped tubes? We call it as Helen's loop. We call it as a loop of Helen's or Helen's loop. I'll repeat. At the beginning of the nephron, there is a cup-shaped structure. We call it as a Bowman's capsule. Following the capsule, there is a coil. See here it is coil and continued as a U-shaped. Can you see U-shaped tube? That we call it as a Allen's loop. And this tube, again it gets coiled. You can see again it gets coiled, and then it will join to the adjacent nephron by a collecting duct. This is the collecting duct. So, and at last it reaches the renal papillae. Then to the ureter, that we'll learn later on. So now you got to know the structure of the nephron. Nephron has got a cup-like structure called as Bowman capsule, and the tube-like structure which is bent like a U shape, that is called as loop of Allen or Allen's loop. Then the collecting duct. Now we'll see how the urine is formed. The urine is formed in 3 steps, namely glomerular filtration, selective reabsorption, tubular secretion. These are the 3 steps involved in the formation of the urine. We'll see how this urine formation takes place. First step is glomerular filtration. When you just observe the Bowman capsule, inside the Bowman capsule, there is a branch of some arteries, renal arteries we call, because it's present in the kidney. Arteries enter the Bowman capsule and it will break and form a tuft of capillaries. We call it as a glomerulus. Okay, inside the Bowman capsule, a tuft of capillaries, we call it as a glomerulus. So here, as soon as the blood enters the nephron with a high blood pressure, it gets filtered. The blood will get filters. Okay, I told you that the blood consists of some of the nitrogenous waste. It has to be filtrated. You know how the coffee will be filtered? In the same way, using the filtrate. In the same way, here, as soon as the blood enter in the glomerular, the blood gets filter. So this process we call it as a glomerular filtration. Now what does that filtrate consist of? Now from the blood they have removed the nitrogenous waste and all. So what does the filtrate consist of? The filtrate consists of a nutrient such as some of the essential nutrients are also will be present, or everything will be get filtered over there. Essential as well as non-essential nutrient substance also will be removed. So essential nutrients such as water, glucose, vitamins, amino acid will also be filtered, and some of the non-essential substances such as nitrogenous waste, sodium, potassium, bicarbonate, even that also will be present in the filtrate. Actually only the non-essential substance has to be thrown out, whereas here both essential and non-essential substance has been filtered by the glomerulus. Okay, this process we call it as a glomerular filtration. Now after that, this filtrate will start moving down. It will come down, it will pass through the Allen's loop. In this Allen's loop, second step of urine formation takes place. The second step is selective reabsorption. The name itself will tell that something will be reabsorbed. What will be reabsorbed? It will select and reabsorb. What is that selected one? Essential substance. Essential substance we need not to throw out of the body. We need that essential substance, isn't it? So here in this, the selective reabsorption, the surrounding capillaries, these are the surrounding capillaries, will absorb, the blood will be present over here. It will absorb the essential substance such as glucose, amino acid, fatty acid, vitamins, hormones, whatever it is present which is essential to the body and which need not to be thrown out from our body will be filtered, or it will be absorbed. Reabsorption, we call it as a reabsorption. Why we call it as a reabsorption? But because in the blood it was present, but in the glomerulus what happened? Both essential and non-essential substance was filtered, isn't it? So now when the filtrate start moving to the Allen's loop, here selective reabsorption takes place. Now what does the filtrate consist? Only the non-essential substances present. So next, moving on to the third step, that is tubular secretion. Once the filtrate started moving to the last part of the last part of the tube, like when you just observe here once it started moving there, what happened was the cells which are present in the tubes will start secreting some of the unwanted substances such as potassium, ammonium, salt, hydrogen ion, uric acid to the filtrate. Now, or the content, whatever the content is there in this is all non-essential substance. These non-essential substance will start moving to the collective duct, and that non-essential substance we call it as a urine. After this process, the urea and other nitrogenous waste, excess of salt and all, what we call it as a urine, which is the straw colored liquid which contain water also, this will start passing from the kidney. It will pass to the ureter, and through the ureter it comes to the urinary bladder, and it will be temporarily stored here, and later on through the urethra it will be thrown out from a body. So this is how the urine will be formed. So urine is formed in 3 steps. One is glomerular filtration, the other one is selective reabsorption, the third one is tubular secretion. During the glomerular filtration, what happens? As soon as the blood enters the nephron with high blood pressure, the blood gets filtered in the glomerular, and this process we call it as a glomerular filtration. And remember, the filtrate consists of both essential and non-essential. So the essential substance will be absorbed by the next step, that is selective reabsorption. Then later on it comes to the end of the convoluting tubes, and there what happens, when tubular secretion takes place, the tubes also will secrete some of the substance, and together it forms the urine. It reaches the collecting ducts. Through the collecting ducts it comes to the kidney, from the kidney to the ureter to urinary bladder, from the urinary bladder it will be thrown out from the body through the urethra. So this is the structure of the nephron, and this is how the urine will be formed. And remember, what is the function of the kidney? It helps in excreting the waste such as urea. It will excrete excess water. It will excrete excess salt. So we need to take care of this kidney by drinking lot of water. So next part, we'll see how the excretion takes place in the plants. Even do you think that the plant have got any excretory system throughout the excretory waste from the plant? No, they don't have any excretory system. But these plants, you know that they do not consume protein. They do not have much muscular activity. It will not move from one place to another, but still they have got some of the waste. Okay, these waste are toxic. It has to be eliminated out of the body. That is known as excretion. So even though they are plant, the excretory products are produced. So what are the excretory products which are produced by the plant? The cellular, during the cellular respiration, photosynthesis, and the metabolic reaction, what it takes place in the plants, a lot of waste will be produced, such as carbon dioxide, excess water. This both carbon dioxide and excess water will be produced during respiration, and nitrogenous compounds are produced during the protein metabolism. These are the major excretory products of the plants. So now the plants which produces two gaseous waste such as oxygen, which is produced during the photosynthesis, and carbon dioxide during the respiration. So these gases need to move out from the plant body. There is a pore called as stomatal pore. You know, it is present in the leaf. So this will help in releasing the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, which is produced during photosynthesis and the respiration. And extra water, we learned about the transpiration. Excess of water also excreted from the plant body through a stomatal pore, and from the surface of the fruits and the stems and all, it will be thrown out by the process called as transpiration. This is how the water also will be excreted out of the plant body. And some of the other gaseous waste, metabolism in the plants also generate some of the byproducts, which will, these waste are stored in a different forms in a different parts. You might have seen the gum, oil, gum-like substance which is produced. These are all the some of the waste which is produced by the plants. These waste will be stored in a plant in some of the parts like bark, then stems, leaves, and eventually when they fall down, even this excretory waste also will be get rid from the plant. So this is about the excretory system in the human and the plant. Thank you.